Welcome to Light at NDE, where we delve into the profound world of near-death experiences, offering powerful stories that illuminate life, death, and faith. Today, we share the incredible journey of Evelyn, whose life was forever transformed by an encounter with the divine. Evelyn was driving her old, beat-up car one crisp April morning when she lost control. The car tumbled violently down a steep embankment, rolling over repeatedly. Amid the chaos, she felt an extraordinary presence, as though her deceased father was gently cradling her head, protecting her from harm. It was a sensation of comfort amidst the terror. As her vehicle finally came to rest, Evelyn found herself in an entirely new state of being. She felt weightless and free, soaring through the air in what she initially thought was a vivid dream. However, this was unlike any dream she had ever experienced. The clarity of her vision was astonishing. She could see the tops of the trees, the grass, and even her overturned car below, all in sharp detail, sharper than her vision had ever been. Even with glasses, she became acutely aware of the sensations around her, the crispness of the cool April air and the warmth of the morning sun mixing together in perfect harmony. At first, Evelyn tried to control her movements, attempting to descend or stop. But she realized she couldn't. Instead, she was being gently and effortlessly pulled upward. It was then that she fully grasped the reality of her situation. This wasn't a dream. She looked down and saw her car, shattered and upside down, with her own body lying at an angle on top of it. The stark realization struck her: if that's my body down there, then where am I? What is up here? As Evelyn floated higher, she felt a profound peace enveloping her, a calmness that transcended any earthly understanding. She was about to encounter something, or someone, that would change her life forever. Ahead of her, a radiant light began to glow. And within it, she saw an entity that seemed to emanate infinite love and warmth. Evelyn believes this being was Jesus, and her experience with him would deliver a message of hope, purpose, and faith that she would carry for the rest of her life. Join us as we uncover the lessons and revelations Evelyn brought back from this extraordinary journey. As I turned my astral form toward the sky, I witnessed a vision so magnificent that it left me in awe. A vortex, unlike anything I had ever imagined, appeared above me. It was a swirling gateway, filled with luminous clouds and streaks of plasma-like lightning. Inside the vortex were stars, yet these were not the distant stars we see in the night sky. They radiated from the very center of the universe, revolving around a light so bright, so powerful, that it seemed to contain the essence of all creation. I instinctively knew that this light was the source, the origin of everything that exists. Around the vortex, orbs of light moved with purpose and grace. Each one seemed unique, glowing in different colors and intensities, pulsating with energies that carried an unspoken story. They flowed in and out of the vortex as if they were part of a grand cosmic rhythm, fulfilling roles I couldn't yet comprehend. The sheer beauty of the scene overwhelmed me, filling me with both wonder and a profound sense of humility. I realized that I was witnessing something sacred, something far beyond the limits of earthly understanding. Overcome by the magnitude of what I was experiencing, I felt the urge to bow down. I folded into myself as much as I could and exclaimed, "Oh my God! You are!" In that moment, every doubt, every question about God's existence faded away. I felt a powerful connection to the divine, a realization of how small and naive I had been for much of my life. I understood, with perfect clarity, that God had always been there, watching, waiting, and guiding me, even in the moments when I had turned away. My mind drifted back to my childhood, a time when my belief in God was unshakable. I remembered lying in bed at night, asking God questions about the universe. How big is it? What lies beyond the stars? I would close my eyes and let my thoughts travel as far as they could, pushing the boundaries of my imagination until I fell asleep. It was a practice that both comforted and stretched my young mind, reinforcing my awe for the infinite. I would reach a point where the vastness of the cosmos seemed to bend my understanding, and I would feel a sense of profound wonder at the boundless nature of creation. As a child, I exhibited an unusual aptitude for mathematics and abstract thinking. I was solving complex problems far beyond my years and had dreams that often felt prophetic. One dream, in particular, stood out vividly. When I was 8 years old, I dreamt of my family dying in a tragic accident on their way to Nevada. I tried to warn them, pleading with them not to go, but they dismissed my concerns as the product of an overactive imagination. When the accident happened exactly as I had seen it in my dream, it shattered me. I was not only grieving the loss of my loved ones but also grappling with the terrible knowledge that I had foreseen it and could do nothing to stop it. This event fractured my relationship with God. I couldn't reconcile why He would allow me to see such devastating visions without giving me the power to change the outcome. It felt cruel, as though I were being punished for reasons I couldn't understand. I begged God to take away my dreams, to shield me from seeing the world with such painful clarity. Over time, I turned away from faith entirely. Life's hardships compounded, and I found myself drifting further into darkness. Traumas, separations, and the challenges of growing up in a broken world led me to seek solace in self-destructive behaviors. Drugs, reckless parties, and a lifestyle of indulgence became my escape. I was running from pain, from responsibility, and most of all, from God. Yet, as I stood before the vortex of light, all those years of pain and separation felt as though they were being stripped away. The divine presence enveloped me, calling me back to the connection I had lost. I felt a profound sense of being loved and understood. Even in my brokenness, the light didn't judge or condemn me. Instead, it welcomed me, inviting me to return to the truth I had once known as a child. The orbs of light around the vortex seemed to echo this message. Their movement, their radiance, spoke of harmony, purpose, and interconnectedness. I realized that my life, with all its mistakes and detours, was still part of this greater design. The experiences I had endured, the pain I had carried, were not meaningless. They had shaped me, prepared me for this moment, and brought me back to the understanding that God's love is infinite and always present. The vortex was not just a spectacle, it was an invitation. It called me to remember, to awaken, and to embrace the divine connection that had always been within me. As I stood there, bathed in its light, I knew that I had been given a second chance, a chance to rediscover my purpose, to heal, and to live in alignment with the love and truth that had been waiting for me all along. As I stood in the presence of the being of light, whom I now recognized as Christ, the depth of my experience began to unfold in ways I could never have imagined. Every fiber of my being felt illuminated by His radiance. And yet there was an overwhelming gentleness in His presence. He didn't judge or condemn, He simply revealed the truth, the unvarnished reality of who I was and how I had lived. It wasn't done to shame or punish me, but to help me understand, grow, and transform. When He showed me the review of my life, it wasn't like watching a movie. It was as though I relived each moment, feeling not only my own emotions but also the impact of my actions on others. Every time I had been selfish or manipulative, I felt the hurt I had caused. It wasn't just a memory, it was as though I was standing in the shoes of the people I had affected, feeling their pain, confusion, or sorrow. It was humbling and heartbreaking. I realized how often I had acted out of fear or ego, clinging to my own desires while neglecting the needs of those around me. At one point, I saw a moment from my childhood when I had mocked a classmate. In that instant, I felt their pain, their sense of rejection, and the ripple effect it had on their self-esteem. It was a simple act that I had long forgotten, but it had left a mark on their heart. This moment, among others, pierced me deeply. My solar plexus felt as though it had been struck by a beam of light, a visceral pain that reflected the weight of my actions. I began to weep, not out of fear, but out of an overwhelming sense of remorse. "I didn't realize," I said, though the words felt hollow in the face of what I had done. But then Christ stepped closer, and his light surrounded me. "You are forgiven," he said, his voice filled with love. He took the beam of sorrow from me, and in an instant, the pain lifted. It wasn't erased but transformed into something lighter, something that now carried the potential for healing and redemption. "You are human," he said. "And being human comes with limitations: biology, psychology, instincts, and ego. It is natural to fall short, but it is in recognizing your flaws and striving for love that you find your true self." His words brought a profound sense of relief. For the first time, I understood that forgiveness wasn't just a gift, it was an invitation to grow, to become better. The love he radiated wasn't conditional or transactional, it was a love that embraced me fully, flaws and all, while urging me toward transformation. As the review continued, I also saw moments of kindness and love, times when I had lifted someone's spirits or extended a helping hand. These moments glowed brightly, their energy spreading outward like ripples in a pond. I realized how even the smallest acts of love and compassion could have far-reaching effects, touching lives in ways I could never have anticipated. Christ turned to me with a smile, his eyes filled with encouragement. "Every choice you make matters," he said. "The moments when you choose love over fear, kindness over anger, and humility over pride are the moments that bring light into the world." Feeling lighter and more at peace, I began to ask questions. Are there other worlds? Is there life beyond Earth? Are there parallel universes? My curiosity flowed freely, like a child eager to explore the mysteries of the universe. Christ chuckled softly, a sound that felt like a gentle embrace. "Yes," he said. "There is more to creation than you can imagine." He showed me visions of distant worlds, teeming with life, beings that were both similar to and vastly different from us. I saw realms of existence layered over our own, dimensions where possibilities played out in harmony with divine will. Each realm was connected by threads of light, part of a vast, intricate web of creation. But he cautioned me. "While it is natural to wonder about the cosmos, your focus must remain here. Humanity has much to learn and much to heal before it is ready to fully engage with these greater realities." I then asked about the suffering and chaos in the world. "Why is there so much pain?" I said. Christ's expression grew serious yet tender. "Suffering arises from separation, from turning away from love. But even in the darkest moments, there is hope. Every act of love, no matter how small, is a step toward healing and unity." He then showed me a vision of humanity's potential, a world where people lived in harmony, guided by love and compassion. The vision was breathtaking, a glimpse of what could be if we chose to align ourselves with divine will. But he also showed me the consequences of selfishness and division, the darkness that spreads when fear and pride take root. "You have much to share," he said. "But remember, the greatest message is love. Live it, embody it, and let it guide your actions." As the review concluded, I felt a deep sense of responsibility. This wasn't just a personal experience, it was a call to action. A reminder that my life had a purpose far greater than I had realized. Christ's light began to fade, and I felt a gentle pull back toward my physical body. I didn't want to leave, but I knew my time in this sacred space was over. When I awoke, gasping for air, the world felt different. The weight of my earthly concerns had lifted, replaced by a profound sense of peace and purpose. I knew I had been forever changed, and I vowed to live in a way that reflected the love and truth I had encountered. As I slowly re-entered my body, the sensation was like no other. It felt as if I was forced back into a vessel I no longer recognized. I had just experienced the boundless, eternal realms, and the return to the confines of my physical form was jarring. My surroundings seemed foreign. The cold, the quiet, the sense of emptiness in the vastness of my being. For a moment, it was as if I had entered a massive, abandoned house. The space felt cold and devoid of life, and the silence was overwhelming. The absence of power, warmth, and the dynamic energy I had experienced in the other dimension left me with an odd sense of discomfort. The house, or rather, my body, seemed to echo in the void, as if it were a shell that had been empty for far too long. I could feel panic starting to creep in. But then, something deep within me, something far more profound than the initial fear, took over. It was the drive to reconnect, to breathe life back into this body, to make it my home once again. My willpower surged through me like an electric current, reconnecting me to my body from the very base of my spine to the tips of my extremities. Slowly, I began to move. First my right leg, then my left. I could feel the physical connection slowly reinstate itself, as if I were being reassembled piece by piece. As my body came back to life, my awareness heightened. The physicality of my existence had returned, and with it came the weight of what I had experienced. I knew that I was no longer the same person who had left my body. The world felt different now, like I had stepped back into a life I had briefly left behind. But I was no longer blind to the truth that life holds. The overwhelming sense of love and connection I had felt during my journey beyond the veil now coursed through me, reminding me that I had a purpose beyond just existing. I felt this profound connection to the divine, a connection that had always been present but was now fully realized. The light and love I had encountered were still within me, glowing like embers waiting to reignite. I knew that I was part of something far greater than myself, that all beings, all living things, were interconnected through the flow of love and energy that binds us all together. I understood that my life, my actions, and my choices could either contribute to the harmony of the universe or distance me from it. The experience had shown me that we are all capable of creating ripples in the fabric of existence, whether by love or by fear. The clarity I had gained from this encounter was so deep, so profound, that I could not ignore it. It was as if I had been shown the very essence of reality. I was reminded that life is not just about what we can see or touch, but about the invisible energies that move through everything, about the love that connects all things. I had seen the cosmic web that unites us, and I knew that I had a responsibility to help others see it too. It was also clear to me that this life is but a brief moment, a fleeting experience. Yet it is within this brief existence that we have the power to choose. Our choices matter. Every single one. The energy we put into the world, the love we share, the kindness we offer, and the forgiveness we extend have far-reaching effects that we may never fully comprehend, but that are undeniably real. The divine truth that I had witnessed beyond this world filled me with a sense of peace and purpose that has stayed with me ever since. When I returned to my body, I knew that I was not the same person who had left it. I was infused with an overwhelming sense of responsibility, a desire to live in alignment with the higher truths I had been shown. It became my mission to live with intention, to be mindful of my actions, and to share the love that had been poured into me. I realized that the greatest purpose of my life was not to simply survive, but to contribute to the greater good of the world, to spread the love I had felt, and to help others realize that they too are a part of something vast and meaningful. And so, with this newfound clarity, I began my journey back into the world. I knew I had much to learn, much to experience, and many people to meet along the way. But I also knew that I was no longer alone, that the divine presence I had felt was always with me, guiding me toward greater understanding and deeper love. Every day was now an opportunity to honor that connection, to live in a way that reflected the truths I had learned. There was a sense of profound peace that I carried with me, even in the midst of life's challenges. The love I had witnessed was not just a fleeting experience, it was a truth, a force, a reality that transcends time and space. It was a reminder that no matter how difficult life may seem, we are always surrounded by a light that is greater than any darkness we may encounter. And it was this light that I now carried within me, guiding my path, filling my heart with compassion, and reminding me that every step, every choice, every breath, is part of a grand journey that continues far beyond what we can see. As the minutes passed, I felt like I was being tugged between two realms, the physical and the spiritual. My body, lying on the cold, sterile bed in the ICU, was still tethered to this world, filled with pain and anguish. But my soul, my essence, hovered above the bed, detached from the suffering. It was as if I could observe everything in the room from a higher vantage point. Yet I was completely aware of what was happening. I could hear the frantic beeping of the machines, the hushed conversations of the doctors, and the faint sound of footsteps as they moved through the room. But the more I listened, the further I felt from the reality of it all. The voices of the priest and the nuns faded into the background as I hovered in my own ethereal space, feeling no pain, no fear, no urgency. Instead, I felt an overwhelming peace, as though I was in the safest place I had ever known. Yet, every time the priest began to recite the last rites, I felt a strong pull to return to my body, to stop them from declaring my death. I wasn't ready. My spirit wasn't ready to let go of the life I had left behind. The soldier, who had been with me after the accident, stood there, still gripping my hand. His tears were a mix of relief and confusion. And when he looked at me with such concern, I could feel his vulnerability. He was struggling to comprehend what had happened, what he had witnessed. "I thought you were dead," he said, his voice shaky. The raw emotion in his voice made my heart ache. But I also knew, deep down, that I wasn't dead. "Not yet." "I'm not," I whispered, despite the chaos surrounding us. "I just spoke to God. Everything will be fine." I wasn't sure where those words came from, but they were a comfort to both of us. His hand tightened around mine, as though he feared I would slip away. He wasn't ready to lose me. And for that moment, neither was I. I tried to focus, to return to the present, to understand what had happened. I'd been in a car accident, a horrific one. By all accounts. The shock, the trauma, the way my body had been mangled, it all seemed so distant now. The pain that had once been so real, so consuming, had vanished. My thoughts were clearer than ever. Yet my body seemed so far removed from my consciousness, so far from the vitality I once knew. When I heard the ambulance approaching, the sound of the siren seemed to snap me back to reality. The jarring noise felt like an intrusion on my peaceful space. The jaws of life. The machinery. The voices, everything about the emergency situation felt so alien now. As they prepared to extract me from the wreckage, I felt a sense of dread. I wasn't ready for their tools, their efforts to save me. The sound of the machine. The wrenching metallic noises, it felt like death approaching. But then, something inside me shifted. I decided, for reasons I can't fully explain, that I had to take control. I couldn't just lie there. I couldn't just give up and allow my fate to be sealed. So, with an unexpected surge of strength, I pulled myself from the edge of that precipice and, with effort, re-entered my body. I felt it like a tight, confining space, like trying to force my soul into a body that no longer fit. When I re-entered, it was like a tight seal closing over me, almost as if I were being sealed inside a vessel. It felt like trying to shove a giant object into a small space. A mismatch between my soul's vastness and the body's frailty. For a brief moment, I felt a panic surge, as if I was suffocating within my own flesh. But the physical body slowly started to accept me again. Despite its injuries, I felt my pulse, my heartbeat, and my lungs fight against the weight of the world I had just returned from. Every breath was forced, and the act of breathing felt like an effort. My body protested, groaning and aching. As I began to regain control over it, I could feel the blood rushing through my veins, the fire in my limbs. The overwhelming sense of power that had filled me just moments before now turned into a struggle. My soul, which had expanded and touched the universe, now had to fit itself back into the limitations of this broken body. In the ICU, the beeping monitors began to settle, and the noise around me, which had been a blur of voices and chaos, slowly started to clear. I could hear the soft murmurs of the medical team and feel the gentle pressure of the nurse adjusting my fore. But it wasn't enough to pull me fully back. It was as if I was still floating between two realities, trying to find my way back to something I wasn't sure I wanted to return to. The priest was still there, praying over me, and his voice felt like a grounding force in this strange in-between state. Each time I rose above my body, the last rites would begin. But I would swiftly descend again, trying to make them stop, trying to make them understand that I was still here, that I wasn't ready. My body was breaking, but my spirit was alive, and I knew I had a purpose to fulfill. My life, in that moment, was no longer just about the flesh. It was about the soul, about the connections, the unseen energies that bind us together. And as I floated in that space between life and death, I realized how much more there was to everything than I had ever understood before. Everything I had experienced, every moment I had taken for granted, was now illuminated with new meaning. Eventually, the pain and confusion began to fade, and I was able to focus more clearly on the world around me. The sounds of the hospital room, the soft beeping of the monitors, the quiet murmur of voices from the medical team, and the distant hum of machinery slowly became part of my new reality. I felt a profound sense of being grounded once again. Yet I knew I was entering this reality with a deeper understanding of my purpose and connection to something far beyond what I had known before. The experience I had just gone through, though it felt like a brief moment, left an indelible mark on my soul. I was back in my physical body, but something within me had shifted irrevocably. I had glimpsed the divine, seen beyond the veil, and I could no longer view life in the same way. Evelyn's journey is a powerful and transformative one, touching on both the physical and the spiritual. Her near-death experience wasn't just about recovering from a traumatic accident, It was about awakening to deeper truths about her existence, the nature of life, and the all-encompassing love of God. As her body lay on the verge of death, Evelyn transcended the limitations of her physical form. She entered a realm filled with radiant light, energy, and the divine presence. In this space, she encountered a being of light, whom she immediately recognized as Christ. This experience marked the beginning of Evelyn's spiritual awakening. The profound encounter with Christ sparked a deep internal shift, one that would slowly unravel her perception of life and death. The being of light, radiating compassion and love, showed her the way to live a life of purpose, unconditional love, and forgiveness. It was in that divine presence that Evelyn understood her true self beyond the constraints of her body. Her physical healing, though incredibly important, became secondary to the spiritual transformation she underwent during that moment. The lessons she learned during this encounter reshaped her understanding of existence. She realized that her life was not solely defined by her earthly experiences, but by the spiritual energy that connects all of us. Evelyn discovered that she was part of a greater divine plan, and her purpose was to share this love and understanding with others. The love she felt in the presence of Christ was unlike anything she had experienced before. It wasn't just a fleeting feeling, but a profound sense of connection that transcended her individual existence and bound her to the entire universe. When she returned to her body, Evelyn carried with her the awareness that life had much more to offer than the physical world could provide. The journey to the divine, the understanding of God's love, and the insights into the true nature of life became her guiding light. Her experience didn't just heal her body, but it healed her spirit. She no longer feared death, nor did she see life as something to be grasped at. She saw it as a journey of connection, growth, and love. Through her near-death experience, Evelyn's eyes were open to the eternal truths that many of us forget in the hustle and bustle of daily life. Evelyn's story reminds us that while our physical bodies may be fragile and limited, our spirits are eternal and deeply connected to the divine. Through her experience, we are reminded of the love that transcends death, the importance of forgiveness and connection, and the incredible power of spiritual transformation. The lessons she learned in that moment will stay with her forever, and she now shares them with the world to inspire others to look beyond the physical and embrace the deeper truths of existence. In sharing her story, Evelyn calls us to reflect on our own lives and to consider how we might align ourselves with the higher, divine purpose that exists for each of us. Her journey serves as a powerful reminder that beyond the trials, pain, and suffering of life, there is an unshakable love that holds us all together, an eternal love that can transform us, heal us, and guide us through the darkest moments. Her initial self-centeredness, which had long been a part of her existence, became starkly apparent to her as she reviewed her life. The revelation was a jarring one, but it was also the catalyst for her transformation. Christ's words to her were not just comforting, they were convicting and filled with wisdom. He did not condemn her but instead offered her the grace and forgiveness she so desperately needed. The warmth she felt when he touched her hand symbolized the healing she was about to experience, not just in her body but in her soul. The healing process was not an immediate one. The physical trauma she endured after the accident required extensive surgery and rehabilitation. But Evelyn's journey was not just about mending her physical wounds, it was about mending her heart and mind. As she faced the excruciating pain of recovery, she found new strength in her spirit. Her recovery was not linear, but each step forward, whether it was standing, walking, or eventually dancing pain-free, mirrored the spiritual healing she underwent. The act of dancing, for her, became a symbol of reclaiming her soul, of embracing life fully and joyfully once again. Evelyn's experience also sheds light on the consequences of living a life detached from one's spiritual core. Her self-centeredness had caused emotional and spiritual wounds. But these were not beyond redemption. Her experience proved that the road to spiritual awakening, while challenging, leads to healing and peace. It was through this confrontation with her own flaws and the acceptance of her need for forgiveness that she was able to receive the love and grace that allowed her to heal. In sharing her story, Evelyn not only reflects on her own journey but also offers hope and guidance to others who may be caught in similar struggles. Her experience highlights the importance of self-reflection and the recognition that we are not just our physical bodies. Our souls, our spirits, carry the essence of who we are. And it is through connecting with the divine that we can begin to heal. The experience she had with Christ was not just an encounter with a figure of love and forgiveness, it was a moment of divine clarity that changed the trajectory of her life. As Evelyn healed physically, she also began to reclaim a sense of purpose that she had long forgotten. She started living with a greater sense of intention, accepting responsibility for her actions, and embracing love in all its forms. She learned to connect with others more authentically, shedding the self-centeredness that had once dominated her life. The lessons from Evelyn's near-death experience are far-reaching. They invite us to reflect on our own lives, our relationships with others, and our relationship with God. They remind us that, regardless of our past, there is always the potential for spiritual renewal. Evelyn's journey is a testament to the power of love, grace, and forgiveness, elements that transcend life and death and are available to us all. For those who are curious about the deeper aspects of life and the mysteries beyond this world, Evelyn's story is just one example of how near-death experiences can provide profound insights into the nature of existence. Through stories like hers, we are reminded of the importance of living with purpose, compassion, and connection. If you are seeking deeper understanding or a sense of hope, Evelyn's experience may offer the inspiration you need to embark on your own journey of spiritual awakening. As you continue to explore the powerful lessons embedded in near-death experiences, it's important to keep an open mind and heart. These stories provide glimpses into the afterlife and the divine, reminding us of the interconnectedness of all life and the eternal love that awaits us. For anyone seeking guidance, understanding, or healing, the lessons from these experiences can offer comfort and direction. Evelyn's story is a call to action, urging us to live more intentionally, to love ourselves and others unconditionally, and to always strive for a deeper connection with the divine. Her experience proves that healing is possible, not just of the body, but of the soul. It serves as a reminder that life, in all its challenges and struggles, is a precious gift. And with the right perspective, we can find peace, redemption, and joy even after the most difficult trials. If you're inspired by Evelyn's journey and want to learn more about the transformative power of near-death experiences, continue to explore these stories. Watch the next video for a deeper look into the mysteries of life and death and the light that guides us through both. If you believe in God and near-death experiences, subscribe to Life at NDE today. Discover inspiring messages from God through powerful near-death stories that bring hope and understanding. Hit subscribe now and join us in spreading the light of faith.